Hey, welcome to Real Talk episode 48. I'm Todd. This is AJ.
Yo.
And you already know we're back.
Better than ever, maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, we're really excited to see you guys. Episode 48. That is 2 episodes away from episode 50 because I know simple math.
I can promise you guys, if you made it this far, you want to stick around for episode 50 because we got someone you would have never expected to be on Real Talk. And it's going to be the greatest. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we can't.
I can't promise that.
That can go either way.
But I am excited to have this guy on. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's primarily just because it'll make him uncomfortable.
That's right.
It's really not about you guys in that point.
At the end of the day, when Real Talk started, this specific person said, "You know what? I'll come on episode 50," and they probably expected it to never.
They
last
never thought I'd make it to 10. We'd make it to 10.
And here we are. Anyways,
so, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Man, what is Real Talk? I suppose I should do that in case you're new to our web series. Real Talk is really just a couple of guys talking about God, life, the Bible, what it means to be a Christian nowadays, in general, and how we interact and put that together with culture. One of the things you'll notice up above are 2 different links. The first link, well, maybe one. I'm not sure. You'll see the link that really goes with what I'm saying right now is www.theremnant.live/real-talk. And if you click that link, it's going to pull up a form-fillable box. Tippity tap. You write a question. You hit submit, and it goes directly into a database completely anonymously. Couldn't find you if we tried. And that's typically what we talk about on our web series episodes. Right. We also go live on Thursdays at 9 o'clock here on Facebook. It's a wild time.
Oh, yeah.
And but I really look forward to these web series episodes because we're able to go a little deeper into some of the questions.
That's right.
So really, that's what it is. It's a conversation between us and you guys. And man, we're just we're so blessed and thankful to have this opportunity.
Yes. So
grown.
So thankful.
You probably should see a difference. I can say this, right? They should see a difference today in the quality.
Yes, absolutely.
Hope you enjoy.
Yes.
We told you guys we're working to bring you a better product every day, even if we can't bring you better hosts. So, intern Clint is shaking his head. Yeah. Anyway, man, it's one of those days. Here we go.
It's good stuff.
So that's where we're at. We like to start our episodes out with just kind of talking about how our day has been and our week. So, how's your week been?
I've had an interesting week, man. A lot going on. So we just started our Reignite week. So church is like controlled chaos right now. So, you got
very minimally controlled.
very minimally. So it's very a little hectic, but it's a good energy overall. People come in and one thing that's cool about a week like this, I guess I should explain. For people who've never seen Reignite Week, because we've only done it once anyway. So Reignite Week is it's an annual tradition we're trying to stick to, where people come and just kind of serve church for a week. With projects we've been trying to get done. That includes stuff like painting, building stuff, and just I don't know, just a little bit of everything, cleaning, deep cleaning, all this. And people, it's one of those things where no one's required to come. So it's so cool when people actually come. Just they take time out of their own lives to come and do it. And last year was crazy because we had people who weren't even committed to our church coming like every day, like, oh, let's do this, let's build this and that. And it was just
like
it was
intern
so cool.
Clint. That's how he got plugged in.
Intern Clint, literally his one of his first true weeks with us was in.
I think that was his.
Was it first
real
week?
I think he had visited before.
But yeah,
but he had not. I think he'd only visited 1 week or 2 weeks before that.
Yeah, it was very, very fresh.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway,
yes,
pretty exciting,
and it was so cool, and so it's been a little hectic, but it's so cool. It's cool to come back around and have that happen again, and just be a part of that. Other than that, spiritually, I've really just been thinking of this idea of what is it like to be intentional every single day. We used to have a life group called Edge, and I know it stood for every day giving everything, right?
Nice. Well done.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was
nice. I remembered something. And I remember it used to remind us of that every once in a while. What is the meaning of Edge? This and that, and randomly that kind of popped in my head the other day, and I was like, man, what does it mean to every day give everything? What does that mean? And so that's just been kind of convicting in the sense of self-reflection. Like, am I giving everything every day? Am I putting all my efforts into what I'm doing? Am I doing it for God? If I, or am I doing it for me? Just asking all these questions, trying to just wrap my head around where I'm at currently. Always trying to. That's one thing I'm always trying to do with myself is at least as much as I can is always reassessing where I'm at, making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, being with just being with God, being with Jesus, So, and I guess I don't know if I've necessarily come to a conclusion yet because that's always something that's just it keeps going, right? Like that's always something. It's a continual process. I'm definitely in a good place, I've been really taking my time because one thing I caught myself when it comes to reading specifically is there was a point in time where I was just kind of reading to read. I was like, I have to read, so I'm going to read, and I wasn't actually reading. I wasn't actually taking it in. And so one thing I noticed is I could be like, man, yeah, I read all of this today. I read all of say I read Acts in 2 or 3 days or something or whatever. Like I read it, but how much did I actually take from it? So I've actually just been taking my time, rereading sections, all these things, just really soaking it in. And even though it's taking me longer to read things, it's much more impactful. And so that's been cool, man. So it's funny I brought up Acts because that's actually what I'm reading through right now is Acts because I just love just the early state of the church and how radical it was, and that's always convicting. We were actually talking the other day about people in the Middle East, who were Muslims. You mentioned this. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, but he talked about how there were so many people coming to Jesus, and you said, and one of the stories you mentioned was a guy who he got a Bible. Guy gave him a Bible. He's like, I believe. Prayed with him, and then about an hour later, came back with 10 more people, and I was like, wow, because now those 10
give
people
them a Bible. They want a Bible.
That's right. That's so crazy because I was like, man, I think to like my own journey, been taking this serious for a couple of years now. Like, how many people have I managed to reach and that deep? And we had a discussion about it, but that's been in my head too. So. But overall, I'm in a good place. I think just remembering that we've already won. Whatever is happening in life is just part of it's whatever storms around me. Jesus is God is my rock. So I'm doing good.
Man, that's awesome, and it's interesting that you brought that story up because I am not kidding when I tell you I was going to talk about that.
Really?
When you ask me, you won't ask me how my week's doing, but I was going to tell you anyway. And that story, I was going to reference it.
Mm-hmm.
So the gist of it is we were talking about us, you and I, and Clint. We were talking about the fact that, and I've been fascinated by this for a while, and I've heard about it. I keep hearing about it over the last few years that there's sort of a resurgence or an awakening happening in the Middle East.
That's so crazy.
Among primarily Muslim peoples, and they're coming to Christ, and it's happening without missionaries there in some cases, where people are coming to Christ, and when they ask them why, they say, because I saw Jesus, or he came to me in a dream, or a strange man in white came to me, and that's kind of this story. We were doing some research because I wanted to. I remember even I believe a Muslim cleric, even or a priest, had come, and this story in particular, this guy, really no idea who. This is another convicting thing when you understand what a blessing it is that there are people out there called to be missionaries to places like this, because they in these stories, these Muslims have never even heard of Jesus. They don't know who he is. And we just take that for granted that everyone has at least heard the name and they haven't. So anyway, they go in, and he told you the end of the story, but essentially this guy has this dream. He comes to this, it's a Persian, I believe. He was a Persian. He comes to a Persian Christian. He hears about it. He goes, listen, this guy is coming here. Who is this? I've heard this. He's telling me to follow him. I don't know who he is. I don't know how to follow him. So he reads, the Persian pastor reads to him from Scripture, where Jesus says the same things. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And the guy had never heard that. He just heard it in the dream, and he cries and says, I want this. And so he had been anxious and scared because he didn't know. And as soon as he prayed, he had peace. So he took this Bible right after that moment, left. An hour later, came back to the Persian pastor with 10 people. And he said, these people want a Bible. And
gracious.
that's what he's referencing. It's crazy because that the Lord kind of brought that to your mind, man, because that's been convicting me too.
Yes.
And it impacted me in two levels. The first level we talked about, which is, I think I told you yesterday, we were kind of quiet and I just looked at it, I was like, man, I got to get right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, I've got to, I don't know, man, like that. It's almost hard to put into words, but when I read that story and you hear about Jesus and that he's alive still and that he's still moving and cares and saving people, and it's convicting that I don't always live my life that way when I talk to people, you know, that who he is, and man, I don't know. So there's that level, and then there's the side of it in my own life of sort of a reminder of what Christ has done for me. That as I hear this story of this Jesus going and saving these Muslims and appearing to them, I think that's, for lack of a better word, that's my Jesus. That's the Jesus who saved me. That's who I worship. Like, and that gives me goosebumps, man. It makes me so, like, it makes me want to almost tear up that is my God. My God still moves and he still saves. And, you know, I don't know that he is, you know, you've heard me say this before and I've always known this, but to sort of realize it again, that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that is my God. He is my God. He's the God of AJ and Todd.
That's right.
And man, that he still speaks and moves. And there's other stories too about a girl who they were refugees during the whole refugee crisis over in the middle, and she had fallen over the boat in the middle of a storm. And when they looked all around and then look ahead, and they see her on the other side, on the shore. And when they get to her, they're like, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, the man who walked on water grabbed me and brought me over here." And they had never heard that either. They had never heard of him. So they go and talk to this, I don't know how it came up, this person in the camp. And and he read to them the story of Jesus walking on water, and they all cried because they didn't even know that story. And they said, that's the one who saved them. It's just that, you know, our story, I said this past week in our message, we just take for granted our own lives too, and how God has moved in our life. Like,
You're right.
Your story's crazy, man. We just kind of did your story in our new conversation series. That's crazy. My story's crazy. Yeah. And when I talk about it, I always feel like no one wants to hear it. But the truth is, that's ridiculous. Like, people want to hear that because that's Jesus moving and really moving in our lives. And just because maybe we didn't have a dream, right, doesn't make it any less true, any less powerful, or any less more impactful to people.
You're right.
So
that's good stuff.
I don't know, man. It's been in a good way. God is just amazing. Yes. You know, if you're out there today and you're hearing it, and Christianity has become separate from Jesus to you, because that happens. Let yourself really stop for a second. And I told you, I do this all the time. I often go back and read the Gospels over, and I don't know how many times I read them in a year, because I just need Jesus. I need to remember who he is. All the Bible's good and inspired, but something about him, clearly, man, he is the way, the truth, and the life, and he loves us. And it's so funny. Didn't even know we were going to be talking about this, but this morning in my devotions, I was sort of reading different sections, and I came across again John 3:16 and 17. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that those who might believe him would not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son to condemn the world, but that everyone through him might be saved. Like, he doesn't want to condemn anyone. He wants everyone to be saved.
That's right.
And that Christ didn't come to condemn, that he truly came to save us. And if we would just open our eyes to that, it's pretty incredible. So, hey, you know what? I'm thankful. I want to tell more people about Jesus and what he's done and who he is. And
amen, dude.
Not to take my position for granted, right? My position in the kingdom, even.
Yes.
So
that's good.
Yeah, that's been my week. Like you said, a lot going on. It's kind of funny and weird for me. When Reignite started, you were part of the original one when you were interning.
Yeah.
And the interns sort of ran that as a project.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me because I have to stay. I don't have to. I choose to stay pretty hands off.
Yeah, you just kind of step back.
Yeah, that's really hard for me because it's like seeing someone like this paint can's gonna tip, and I'm like, man, I should really tell them to put that paint can over on the. No, I guess I'll just let it. You know, sometimes the paint spills and sometimes it doesn't.
That's right. That's really good. Yeah, I'm sure that is hard because I know you're such a good leader, man, and like
I don't know about that, but thank you.
You know, and I'm sure it is hard to step back because you've mentioned before like you are a problem solver and you're a good one. So when you see problems, you just go fix.
I want to, yeah.
So,
but it's also in a weird way. There's another side I was thinking about today. It's kind of a weird little not relaxation, but I don't know. I feel like I can sense the weight off of me a little bit because I'm like, oh, people are doing this, whatever,
Maybe there's like a lesson in it in a way, that's good.
But hey, that's where we're at, folks. So hope your week's been well. Hey, drop a comment below and let us know, as detailed or as general as possible. How's your week going? What's God showing you? Have you heard any cool stories lately about how God's moving in people's lives? Because he still is moving. Sort of reminds, again, now that I said that, I was listening. It's a long story. But someone sent us a message with a sermon from our own church from like a year ago.
Yeah.
That you kind of forget and you listen to it, and it reminded me of that story of Hagar and her saying that I have been saved by the God who sees me as one of the names of God. God, there's 20 some names just in the Old Testament for God, how he chooses to reveal himself. Man. And that's one of them, the God who sees me. So God sees you today. In the midst of your struggle and your pain and your hurt and all those things you're going through where you feel alone and that no one cares and that where's God at, guess what? He still sees you. And he's right there waiting. Be encouraged today. That being said, we do have a couple questions from our database that I hope you guys take advantage of. Listen, some of our regulars, you guys have stopped going in and you've stopped asking questions or giving topics. We need you. We're at 900. You know what? I should take a gander.
Let's take a gander.
We were at 956. We're at 962. I'm just really excited to get to 1,000.
Me too. So I feel like the moment we mentioned we're getting close to 1,000, everyone's like, we're gonna stop.
We're done. So hey, what we like to say is if you're a longtime viewer or a member of this church, the Remnant who sponsors this show, you guys can still give topics because it's not always just for you. It might be something that leads to a good discussion that'll bless someone else. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right in.
Ooh,
I think there's some pretty good questions. They're real. The first question we got today, we got, yeehaw. I am from Kentucky. I feel like I had to say this so people aren't offended. It's too late. I already did it. Is it wrong for girls to flirt?
Is it wrong for girls to flirt? No.
Okay. I don't... You know what you need to do in order to help this? You got to define what flirt is. What is flirt to you? Because you answered that pretty quickly.
Yes. Well, the reason why I was so quick to say no is because...
Well, I thought you said yes. I was like,
no,
did he say yes?
No.
He did say yes.
I cannot wait to go back and watch this.
Maybe you did. No, maybe you did say it.
I said no. Okay.
I wish we could do a, hey, maybe you did. If you did, folks, I believe him.
Like an instant replay?
I did. We'll find out later. Hey, I believe him. Maybe we misheard. But just for the slight chance that you said the opposite, right? If you then I want you to understand that, boy.
Okay.
Anyway,
even though I'm 100%
so let me ask the question again.
Okay.
Because we want to be clear. Is it wrong for girls to flirt? Oh, yeah, that's right. He said no. Meaning, no, it isn't wrong.
Right.
So you don't believe it's wrong. Then we're in the right place. You and I were just thinking.
Okay.
Like, we were shocked by his response. Okay.
Yeah, it's not wrong for girls to flirt. Okay. So the reason why I was so confident and quick to say no was because it's interesting because you'd think that if they were curious about flirting in general, it would be like, well, is it wrong to flirt? But the fact that they mentioned specifically girls is weird to me. Like it's one of those things where I was like, huh, like. So I'm just gonna even the playing field where I just want to say like it's not wrong to flirt at all, As far as flirting and you said asking for a definition of flirting, I think my definition of flirting is giving special attention to somebody with the interest of dating them. That's kind of like my initial
Okay, now I see where you're coming from. Okay, go ahead. That helps me at least know.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we might have our first thing here, but okay, go on. First disagreement on camera.
Now, as far as, see, it's weird because it's hard, like, because flirting is a weird thing. Because I know there's also just naturally people can take, like, just like I guess.
Sure. I've been told that I'm flirtatious at times just for my personality.
They can take animated personalities and people can say, that's a flirtatious personality. Yeah. So, like, it's interesting because I feel like it's kind of a blurry line. Like I said, do I think it's intended for like if you're interested in somebody and you want to date them? Yes, but there's also like I don't want to say there's like levels to flirting, but maybe there is, but I just don't want to accept that. I don't know. But because then, like you said, people can come off as naturally flirtatious. So I think there's that subconscious surfacey flirt, but at the same time, like, is it really flirting if you're just giving somebody a compliment?
I think the question implies it's intentional flirting.
Okay.
So whether maybe here let's mess with this a little bit. So
Okay.
there's intentional flirting, and then there's there's not being careful to avoid flirting.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're both. One is like I'm going to.
Yeah.
The second is I don't even worry about it.
Gotcha.
Now it's funny because you and I heard this question different, which is why I love Real Talk.
Yeah.
You heard it as, is it wrong for a single person to flirt with someone they're interested in?
Mm-hmm.
I heard it as, is it okay or is it wrong to flirt with someone you're not interested in?
Okay.
Like just with people in
Definitely
general.
wrong to do that. Okay. For sure.
I guarantee people are like, what? Because when I heard it, you gotta imagine when I heard it that way, I'm like, wow,
really?
Really? Yeah. So yeah, I would. Okay, so let me read. Is it wrong? That I looked the definition up because
Okay.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
And kind of cool. You actually pretty much defined it.
Really?
I love words. Flirt is behave as though attracted to or trying to attract someone, but for amusement rather than with serious intentions.
Interesting.
Ooh,
Okay.
Now
Well,
that makes it pretty.
Yeah, that gets different now.
So, which I would agree. So, listen, this is how I view flirting.
Okay.
Is it wrong to flirt? I like what you said because I don't think I would have even given that. Okay, so I'm glad you said that because then there's going to be someone out there. Well, how do I let anyone know I like them? I think flirtation is a part of the human experience when it comes to attracting a mate. Meaning, as Christians, why do we date? This is something that I didn't know, man. I didn't grow up in a Christian home, so I honestly probably didn't truly get this until I'd already dated a lot.
Right.
I think I told you this story, and I'll say this briefly. So when the first girl I dated that was a Christian, I had been a Christian for probably a year and a half when I met this girl. She had grown up in a very, very strict charismatic church.
Mm-hmm.
To the point, like her parents literally didn't like me. Well, they liked me when I was in high school because I played football. That's how ridiculous it is. But I had a Nike shirt on, or I wore name brand clothing, and that was worldly. I mean, it was pretty intense. But one thing that her father said one time, I was trying to do the Todd thing and like make it okay with us because they didn't want us to date, and probably I hate saying this, the way they went about it was wrong, but they were right. They shouldn't have wanted me because I wasn't getting it yet, even though she didn't either. But I was on the phone with the guy, and I was her dad, and I was trying to make him feel better about things.
Yeah.
I think I've told you this.
You have.
And I go, listen, man. I didn't say man. I was respectful. I was like, sir, listen. It's not like I'm trying to date. I'm dating your daughter. It's not like I'm trying to marry her. And he goes, dude, it was so powerful because this guy was pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
The mom was so mean. But he was like more quiet. And I hate to say it, kind of weak. She definitely wore the pants, the mom.
Yeah.
And he just goes, I said, it's not like I'm trying to marry her. And he said, then why are you dating her?
Ooh.
And at I remember even in that's the first time anyone had even like, this is the first time in my life up to that point, probably 20 years old, that anyone had ever truly asked me that question. What is the purpose of dating? I don't think I ever knew. And I was in stunned silence. Yeah. And I just go, so that he was right. As Christians, dating has one purpose: to find out if the person that you're with is the person you're going to marry. And the moment you know they're not, you should get out.
That's right.
And the moment you know they are, beyond circumstances, because we live in a culture with college and all those kinds of things that, you can't always do that. As soon as you know you are, you make that commitment. And I freely admit that that's area in my life that I have not, took me a long time to get because of where I came from. I'm not making excuses, but I just want to make sure people know I'm not being hypocritical in that.
Sure.
So that being said, that's dating. So flirting to like show interest in a person you're actually interested in, I don't necessarily think is wrong.
No.
As long as it is appropriate.
Yeah.
If we get what I'm saying. Flirtation is not showing parts of your skin you shouldn't and things like that. However, flirtation I like the way it said it, for amusement rather than purpose. Man, as a man, it makes me feel like I'm using a girl for emotional satisfaction, for my ego to be stroked.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. And the same with a girl. And inevitably someone gets hurt, whether they admit it or not.
Agreed.
And they get confused.
Mm-hmm.
So is it wrong to flirt? I think, tell me if I'm wrong here, we kind of agree. If you're flirting with someone to show interest and it's just, I don't know, the flirtation in the sense of smiling and, giving more attention like you said.
Yeah.
I don't think that's wrong. Although eventually the games need to stop and you need to just say it. It would save a lot of hassle.
Yes, absolutely. You don't want to go for too long because then it's just like you're running in a circle.
Yeah.
Like
So we're just trying to, but any, flirtation in and of itself just for amusement and to feel good about yourself is very selfish.
Absolutely.
And it can lead to people getting hurt.
It's manipulative.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's manipulative.
Yes.
So there's our answer.
Awesome.
Okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was decent. I'm just kidding. It was a great question. This one kind of goes with it, actually. Okay. We have some relationship questions here. What do you do if you like everything about a person? The implication here is they're dating or they have some sort of interest, I think. Mm-hmm. What do you do if you like everything about a person, but you're not really physically attracted to them?
Interesting.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So I know this is so cultural. Like when I just think of culture in general, when people think about dating, people are always like, oh, you're dating people because they're hot or they look good or whatever, and all these things, and it always leads back to physical attraction and how they look, and that's what people, it seems to be such a high priority on looking for someone to date. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think you should be attracted to the person that you are dating, but there's also the other side of it, which in my opinion is, you don't want to make that the highest priority and then take someone who you may be super attracted to, but their personality's not good. You don't match or, it just doesn't mesh well with yours. With that being said, if you like everything about this person but you're not attracted to them, I think that's just a question to ask yourself, like, because we all value things differently.
That's good.
Like me personally, with dating, I'm in a relationship. When I was single, I wouldn't date someone if I wasn't attracted to them, and that's just my own values. Like I want to be attracted to somebody, but I also don't want to sacrifice personality either. So
Yeah. To say you're not physically attracted to them at all, we're not. I think it's unfair to lie to you and tell you that that's not important.
Exactly.
It's okay to want to be physically attracted to the person you're with. Now, I will say this as I've gotten older, and I mean this, and I've told you this. The thing that I realized are if you just want to find a pretty face, you can find one.
Yes.
Okay. I'm being serious. But that, after a while, you realize that's so empty if that's all you're looking for. So, for me, being very transparent, if I, kindness jumps to the top of the list and all that. So to me, it's. I don't feel like it has to be either or. Do I also feel like there are people I've met in my life that have become more attractive the more I got to know their character and their heart.
That's so good, dude.
Absolutely.
That's
so
awesome.
I would say, let me flip it around. I would say don't completely, immediately disqualify someone in your mind because you're not initially super physically attracted. Because there's a difference between being not physically attracted to them and like just not having any, So that doesn't mean date them, but getting to know them, and as you grow. The other thing I'd say is to pray about it. Ask God, if this is a person that could be a good spouse to you or someone to bring that physical attraction. That sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. But I like what you said. People's values are different. I will tell you this. The scripture even talks about this. Beauty will fade. Character is what stands the test of time. So all that to be said, don't feel guilty that you may not want to date someone because you're not physically attracted to them, because I think people have been manipulated in that way. Well, you need to like me as a Christian because I'm not. That's unfair, and that's not true. And the truth is, it's not an either or. So it's okay. What do you do in that case? I guess to specifically answer the question, continue to get to know them. Don't put any pressure on yourself.
That's good.
And what do you value? What is scripturally important to you? So if you really end up never being physically attracted to them, maybe that's just someone that's going to be a really good friend and like a brother or a sister to you.
That's good.
Clint, did that answer the question, you think? Or did we go? Intern Clint will tell us. He said, yeah, we're good.
Thumbs up.
All right. Well, hey, I think that's pretty good for today.
Good stuff, man.
Episode 48.
A little bit of dating advice.
Hey,
Cool
all right.
stuff.
I
Nice.
love those. By the way, we were
Yes.
serious. We love those kind of questions.
Yeah.
I think those kind of questions, in a weird way to me, almost symbolize what Real Talk's all about. How do you
Yes.
do real life with and as a believer, as a
Yes.
Christian?
Agreed.
So, hey, if those questions didn't get answered in a way, whether you're the person to ask or you're someone listening, you're like, man, I'm a little hazy on this, or Todd got distracted, or AJ got distracted and we missed something, do us a favor. Drop that question below or ask in depth. Guys, listen, that's what this is about. Like,
Yep.
we can tell you, we want to interact with those questions and talk about it with you. So help us fill in the blanks, you know, if we
Yes.
miss stuff.
Absolutely.
But other than that, yeah, I think anything you want to say as we head out?
Thank you guys so much for dealing with us for over a year.
Yep.
It's been like I said, 48 episodes. It's so special, so cool, and you know, it's just up from here. You know, just it's a constant uphill battle, but it's so cool that you guys have been part of this journey and just everything that Real Talks come to be. It wouldn't be possible without you guys watching. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. You bless me so much, more than I can ever let you guys know.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. It's, man, you can tell I've had a lot of caffeine. I hadn't up until the last hour. But I echo what AJ said. We're just very thankful for everything that, man, we've gotten to be a part of over the last year. Questions you've asked, topics you brought up. So we just pray you continue to join us each week. If Clint doesn't stop doing what he's doing and distracting me, I'm going to literally fire. Just so you guys know, he's mocking me behind the camera as I'm talking, which makes it incredibly difficult to talk to you. So, go back. He's an intern, right? That's what they do.
That's right.
Mess everything up. I'm just kidding. We appreciate him. Back to it. Hey, we just thank you guys so much. The link above is active 24/7, 365 days a year. www.theremnant.life/real-talk. You can also go check out the church's website at www.theremnant.life. We've got sermons, our calendar, beliefs, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we are going live this Thursday at 9 p.m.
That's correct.
for some shenanigans.
What's
going on?
Reignite week.
Yeah, told you. So we just hope you guys have a great week, a great day, and truly, God bless you.